It is the Word on the Street podcast, Tuesday after Tough. We are recapping the episode that went down tonight. We believe it is episode 7, entitled His Fists on My Face. Interesting title. The battle went down between Jimmy Quinlan and Clint Hester. And of course, Team Sonnen wins again. It is another confident night for us, pumped up. I am here, your host Ramses, with, of course, our living legend co-host, Jamie Huey of Team Sonnen and Team Darkside. And we also have, from the MMA podcast, Jake also co-hosting with me. Glad to have you both on there. Coach, it was, I'll just get right to it, of course. Tonight we had another Team Sonnen victory. While watching the fight, though, I felt like Jimmy was losing. I felt he was losing until he pulled off the choke. But since you were there, how did you feel about the fight? And I'll ask again, is the show rigged? Because John Jones seems to pick the worst matchups for his team that are possible. Is Bones smoking crack, Coach?
Well, actually, I got to correct something. I wasn't there for this fight. I had a pre-engagement. I was cornering some fighters back here in Portland for an event. So I actually left the show for about a week and came back and had to handle some business. Kind of interesting. I actually, this was the first time I actually saw this fight, was tonight on TV with you guys.
Oh, damn. Wait. I have a question, though. I bet you damn sure made it out to that Hooters, though, didn't you?
Yeah. I accidentally somehow.
I saw you there in a Pride shirt. That's a badass shirt. I'm waiting on mine. It should be here in like 2 days. But yeah, so you saw it on the fight just like the rest of us then. In that case, what did you think about it then? Just watching it like a normal plebeian human being, commoner.
Well, yeah, I mean, I'm watching the show and I know how it ended. And I hadn't obviously got the whole, as soon as the fight was over, Chael or Clayton or somebody would call me and let me know, what happened. But, I thought it was that classic, match between the striker versus the ground guy. Jimmy, was definitely our strongest guy when it came to the ground. And I think Clint was their strongest guy when it was a stand up. I think both of them, obviously, they both come in with solid strengths in regards to what they do, but it was kind of who was going to fight their game. I do agree with what you said earlier. I think Clint was, even though Jimmy got the takedowns, I think Clint was ahead going into he won the first round. Even though Jimmy got those takedowns, Clint was definitely was landing the strikes, the effective blows. But you got to give Jimmy credit for weathering the storm. And Chael said something. In fact, we watched it at the gym tonight. And nice. Luke is up here, and Chael made a comment on the show, and I kind of asked him about it later, but Clint was really getting odd positions. When he'd be tied up on his side or up against the cage, he just seemed to be able to get that power. I mean, he was landing some devastating headshots, and he was really working Jimmy's body. But Jimmy's really a relentless guy, man. He weathered the storm and he found the opportunity and he took it.
Yeah, that was a battle. He definitely, when the win possibility came up, he definitely recognized it and seized it just like a pro. And I'm glad about that. You mentioned you were at the gym with Chael today. Now I do have to say, Coach, we are 52 days away from the Sonnen versus Jones fight at UFC 159. So I've got to start asking you questions that the fans want to hear. So no bullshit, real talk. How do you think Chael Sonnen looks at 205 compared to 185 pounds? Is he going to lose some speed but gain strength? Will he be explosive, or does it not even matter at all? Most importantly, do you know what his state of mind is like right now concerning the fight?
We're working our asses off, but we're really having fun at the same time. I think it's definitely a different camp than it's been in the past. We're coming off a show, and we're having some fun with it. Having the guys come up from the show and training with us, I think is kind of adding. It's definitely a big plus. As far as the mental stuff goes, I don't think we could have had a better camp than we're having right now. As far as Joe at 205, I mean he's going to be bigger, stronger, faster. I don't think he's going to lose any. I don't think he's going to lose anything. I honestly think he's going to gain at 205 because he's not struggling to do that hard weight cut. Even though, we've got Mike Doce, and he is without question the best at what he does in the business. There's still a lot of weight to cut. So, we're blessed to have a guy like Doce in there doing it because he's trying to do it the right way, the best way there is. But it's still a grind to get down to 185, man. And Chael, I think the last time the fight with Anderson, the second fight, we got on a plane. We were 205, and we did the weight cut down there to 185. Now, I mean, basically, the fight we have to be on the scale is the same weight that we left camp before we even had to do a weight cut. So, I think Chael's going to be. I think this will be the best we've ever seen him.
Excellent. Yeah, I'm certainly hoping so. So is my wallet. And now we do have some guests lined up for tonight, as hopefully as always. We're gonna have Zak Cummings, the Team Sonnen fighter, Team Darkside fighter, who is fighting Dylan Andrews next week. We're about to ring him up right now, and we're also gonna have, hopefully if he's around, UFC fighter, Team Sonnen assistant coach Vinny Magalhaes. And I believe I just pronounced his name perfectly like a doctor. We're going to find out, though. I'll manage a 3-person interview. What is this? Oh, no. Ring me. I'm cutting this out.
Hello?
Zak Cummings, is that you, sir?
Yep.
Hey, this is Ramses from the Word on the Street podcast. I'm also on with Jake and Coach Jamie Huey, who you might know. How you doing, Zak?
Pretty good.
Oh, good. I just dialed you and I heard some crazy. Was that country rock music? What?
Probably. I don't know. I got like a different song every day of the week. So.
All right. Well, that'll be on.
I don't know what today was.
Yeah. Well, you'll hear it on the podcast hopefully, because wow, that was ridiculous, man. But yeah, welcome to the Word on the Street podcast.
I think yesterday was Call Me Maybe, so don't judge.
Yeah, we definitely got it better. It sounded like a Black Crowes, like country-ish song. It wasn't too bad, I guess. I don't know, but yeah,
Gilbert most likely.
I don't even know what that was, but yeah, Zak, man, hopefully you're doing all right. Hopefully we still have everybody else on there. Coach and Jake, are you still on?
Yep.
We are. Zak, what's happening?
Much, just hanging out.
Good, man. Right on. Good to hear from you, man.
Excellent. It's awesome.
Nice.
All right, well, let's get this going then. Welcome to the Word on the Street podcast, Mr. Zak Cummings, Team Sonnen fighter, Team Darkside fighter, and Coach Jamie, the living legend Huey, along with Jake from the MMA podcast. I have a question for both. Just starting it off, I have a question for both Zak and Coach Huey. Zak, you first. I've got to know just a random, beginner question here, softball question. Zak Cummings, I've got to know about your first amateur or professional fight, whichever one comes to mind the most. I've got to know, how did your first fight go? Because Zak, I know you're almost a veteran now at this point. You've probably had more fights than anyone else in the Tough House, if I'm correct. Is that correct? Are you the veteran?
One of them. I think Bubba might have had. He got me beat by a few, but I think I was probably up there on the list for sure.
Oh, that's true. Okay, so yeah, I looked at your record. I investigated your entire life. Right now, I know everything about you, dude. But I'd like to know about your first amateur or professional fight, man. What do you remember who it was, where it was, what it was like? I mean, is it like one of those things where everybody remembers their first, or is it just a blur? Was it just another day to you?
No, I definitely remember my first amateur fight. And I fought at 205 at Lake of the Ozarks on, I believe, Memorial Day or Labor Day. I think it was Memorial Day weekend. And it was, I mean, like, nothing went right. First off, I fought up the weight class I was just doing it just to kind of experience the whole thing, say I did it and mark it off the bucket list. I had no desire to, like, become a fighter and stuff like that. I was trained to get in shape and, I had it offered to me, so I said, why not? I show up, and I'm fighting this guy at 205, and he comes in with, like, Harley Davidson biker boots on and all bikered out. He was, like, in his low 30s, maybe upper 20s, I don't know. And comes in, like, he was real friendly and said something to me at weigh-ins. It was like, so why are you doing this? I'm like, yeah, I'm just, get back in shape and figure I'd try it. And, of course, my mom's there, supporting me and watching, and, she had to open her mouth. She was like, yeah, what about you? What are you doing here? And he's like, I got sick of getting arrested from all the fights, so I figured I'd do it legally. So I'm sitting here like, oh, great, I'm going to get my ass kicked. This is awesome. I've never been in a street fight my entire life. So, I've wrestled in college a little bit, but I don't know. And then it's an outdoor event on Lake of the Ozarks, and it starts pouring down rain halfway through, and we had about an hour and a half rain delay, which was just crazy. So, and I'm fighting after the rain delay, and everybody's like, don't try to stand, don't do anything. So the guy comes after me, throws the punch, and I slip it, and I half-assed threw a punch, I don't even know. Grabbed him, took him down, and then went to mount and slid right over the other side with an arm triangle, and submitted him in about 41 seconds, and it was over. And
nice.
Kind of, got the high and everything from it. Absolutely fell in love with the sport, and I was like, you know what? Maybe I'll do a few more of these, and I ended up having 6 amateur fights, and finished all my fights. I think I went to the second round like once, and finally got the call to go pro, and just ran with it.
No, that's crazy. Now you mentioned that you fought your first pro MMA fight without ever having been in a street fight. That's pretty crazy. That's actually kind of fucked up for me, to tell you the truth. I thought all fighters, they'd probably been in some scraps their whole life. But if you'd never been in a street fight, then your first MMA fight must have been a little bit scary. But I've got to ask now that you had the confidence after whooping some ass, in a ring, have you ever been in a street fight?
Never. I'm still the first guy that will talk myself out of a situation, even though I'm completely confident I'm gonna. Yeah. Thrash whoever has had issues with him. I mean, I've had words with guys and some issues, but I'm normally the one talking the situation down or pulling my friends out of the fights instead of jumping in. I just hate confrontation and anything like that. So I mean, it's pointless for me. So I don't know. I don't have to prove myself with just beating guys up out in the street or at the bar, and so yeah, just never really gave me any time of day to do it.
No, that's smart, man. Like, you get to punch people in the face and find out how you would do in a fight without going to jail. So I support that and encourage that to all the listeners on the Word on the Street. So your first fights went well. Now I'll turn the same question around to Coach Jamie, the living legend Huey. We know you did some boxing, of course, earlier, not MMA, but boxing. I got to ask you about your first amateur or professional fight. Which one, how did they both go, actually? Your amateur and then professional. And what is boxing like? Like, you did that in place of MMA. I'm guessing maybe you weren't into MMA, or maybe you made a choice. What's the word on the street about Coach Jamie Huey's boxing career?
Oh, geez. My first amateur fight. I mean, this is 20-something years ago. God, I fought up in Yakima, Washington. It was a 2-day tournament, and there were 2 rings at the same time, so it was a pretty busy tournament. You get on the scale. There's a bracket. I think there might have been 4 guys in the weight class, and I get in there with a kid, and his name was Tim, and I don't even know why I remember that, but I got in there, and I was nervous, man. I mean, that's normal. That's so normal that a lot of people think, oh, you know, I was pretty shook, but you know, of course you're there. I'm not gonna get punked out of it or anything. But I had actually got dropped about 3 days before that. I was in the gym and I threw a right hand and I hit this guy solid. And I remember kind of in slow motion his lip kind of folding over the top of my glove when I hit him. And I was like, I remember just hitting him with a hard right hand. And he must have sidestepped me. And he threw a right hand over a lazy jab. And all I remember is, like, we were in the ring and it was blue canvas. So I've got my gloves on, and as I kind of started to wake up, I'm kind of rubbing my forearms on the canvas with my gloves, and I'm like, I thought I was like in water, but I couldn't figure out why it wasn't wet, because it was like this deep blue canvas.
Oh, wow.
I'm like rubbing my elbows on, where the hell am I? And I kind of came to, and I was like, what the hell is going on? And then people started jumping in the ring. You all right, man? You all right? And I'm like, yeah, what the hell happened?
Oh, wow.
So I literally, I couldn't remember. I was moving from one place to another about that time, and I was driving home, and I could not remember which place I had lived in.
Oh,
I was like literally like, do I live in this apartment, or and I'm like trying to, like, I literally pulled over, and for a couple of days I was pretty shook, and I couldn't quite remember, you know. I was shook for a couple of days. That was three days before my cancer fight. So I get up there and I caught a kid, and I was nervous, and I was still, I think, a little shook from the fight. And I got, and honestly, man, I had my eyes closed most of it. This is my first stand.
Yeah.
I had my eyes closed. What the hell? No, I was throwing the jab like I was supposed to, and I didn't feel anything. But every single time I threw a right hand, I was connecting to something. I could have been punching the referee or the ring closed. I have my eyes were closed.
Oh, wow.
And I look up, and my opponent is about 10 feet away from me in the corner, sits butt, and he spits his mouthpiece out, and I couldn't remember what the hell just happened. Apparently he had, you know, you were throwing the jab and missing, but every time you do that right hand, you connect, and I guess he kind of came into play, and I used both hands, and I pushed him, and he was flying about 10 feet, and the referee went to give me a warning for pushing, but because he fell on his ass and scooted back into the corner and spit his mouthpiece, he quit right there.
Oh, wow.
I think it was like the end of the first round. So
holy shit.
Yeah, I mean, the first one is, you usually get a pretty good story, and that was mine.
So it was like a damn blur, and you were maybe out on your feet, but it was probably like one of those wars. Holy shit.
It was really it was nothing pretty. I mean, it's a funny story, but yeah, it wasn't. I was swinging.
Oh,
yeah.
That's a crazy ass story, man. Oh wow, you're probably out on your feet, and you ended up driving home with a probable concussion, I'm guessing. Holy shit.
Well, yeah, I mean, that was 3 days before the fight. Yeah, I was still rocked. But
wow.
My actual amateur fight, I mean, I had my eyes closed. I remember being nervous because I had never been dropped like that. I mean, it was kind of, I guess, what they call a flash knockdown. But I don't remember falling. And when I was down there, as I came to, I thought I was in water because of the blue canvas. So yeah, neurologically, man, I was shook, definitely.
That's a crazy first fight, definitely. Well, thanks for sharing that. And Zak, like I said, I researched every detail of your life. I hired a private eye detective to follow you around all week. You probably didn't notice them. And I also read all of your tough blogs, the Ultimate Fighter blogs that you've been doing, which are very well written, by the way. Now, in tonight's episode, we saw Josh Salmon acting like a diabetic, thinking his leg's gonna be amputated, going to the hospital out of nowhere, whatever. And I was reading your blog from last week, so I've got to ask, if you can share, are you the guy who originally fucked up his leg and caused that blood clot he had to get surgery for? Can you tell us how that all went down?
Yes and no. I mean, it's not like I did anything to him. It's just the first time or both times either one of us ever tried out for the Ultimate Fighter show, we actually got paired up in the grappling portion. And, I mean, we just were kind of going at it. It was, real early in the morning. We didn't get to warm up that well. And we were just scrambling like crazy. And my guess is, with not, with it being so early and really cold in the gym or in the conference room and stuff, it just didn't really have a good time to warm the body up. And in the middle of a scramble, I guess his a muscle of his quad got tore, and so it was hurt, and he couldn't go on. And then I guess whenever he was flying back home to Florida with the cabin pressure and everything in the plane, like made it explode on his muscle. So it did a lot of damage to his leg. And I had no idea. I mean, I knew he was hurt, but I didn't know what happened really. I mean, I just knew like we were scrambling and probably just, pulled something. But I guess ended up tearing something in his quad. And then I saw him in another Ultimate Fighter tryout a couple of years later, I believe. And he showed me the scar and kind of told me the story, all what happened, everything. So, and it was definitely nasty. He's got a big scar on his leg and everything. But it was mainly from a scramble. It's not like I put him in any specific move or anything like that. Just kind of a freak thing that happened.
No, I hear you, man. Couldn't have happened to a nicer guy though. That Josh Salmon. I will. Actually, we have our co-host here, Jake from the MMA podcast. Great podcast. Jake, you were on with Coach Jamie Huey and Zak Cummings, both from Team Sonnen, aka Team Darkside. I'll just hand the mic over to you real quick. If you have anything you want to fire and ask these people, these gentlemen that have been so nice to appear on the Word Street podcast.
Definitely. I got a couple questions for both of you. First, I want to start off with Zak. Zak, you were kind of in the unique position fighting Dylan Andrews last. You had twice the time to train for Dylan Andrews, knowing that you were going to face him after the matchup between Jimmy and Clint was made. What did you know about Dylan Andrews going into it? Did you learn most of what he was about through other people at the house? Did you know anything about him before the season? And how do you think having twice the time to train for that fight sort of affected you?
Dylan, I didn't know a whole lot about him, and then the more I was in the house, obviously I learned more. Basically, I came to find out he was very similar to me. He was also one of the veterans in the house. He's fought multiple UFC guys. He's fought on that upper level. He had a great record. I think he was like 16-4 or something around there. And he was very well rounded. He was a decent wrestler, decent on the ground, good striker, and he was just pretty much good everywhere. As for the extra time to train, you would think it would be better having all this, being to fight last and have all this extra time to train and everything for that opponent. It was actually backwards for me because I had that 7-second knockout coming to the house. I was actually very, very healthy. My thumb was bothering me a little bit, but not that was really doing anything. But with the 2 days and all the hard practices we were going through, I actually took more beating on my body practicing than I did my fight to get in the house. So I was actually a little more beat up for that fight than I would have been if I fought earlier in the season. But between the coaches and the teammates and stuff, we kind of decided to hold me and a couple of the other guys like me and Thor for towards the end because we were a little more well-rounded and wasn't one-dimensional. That way, if we got a striker, we would be able to go to the ground, or if, we got a ground guy, we could keep it standing. So just kind of game planning and stuff through our team was one of the reasons, I kind of got held for last and or towards the end, along with Jimmy and Thor. The extra time helped, I think, of at least get to know him a little bit better. But I actually was a little more beat up going into the fight than I would have been fighting earlier.
True, true, yeah. I have a couple questions I want to pose to both of you, but before I do, Zach, I follow you on Twitter and saw you were actually at a Ultimate Fighter viewing party at the Hooters in Kansas City, so it was probably a little bit of inception. You were in a Kansas City Hooters watching yourself and your teammates at a Hooters in Las Vegas. You gotta be real with me. It's the Word on the Street podcast. We don't do any bullshit here. Who had the cuter girls? Kansas City Hooters or Las Vegas Hooters?
Oh, man, that's a tough one. I mean, they did bring in the A-team for us in Vegas, and they had a couple pretty good-looking girls out there. The funny thing is the one who was in the calendar who thought, she was all hot shit was probably the ugliest one there.
Yep.
And, I mean, we're here in the Midwest. We got some good country girls. Obviously, we got some good-looking girls here in Missouri. So it was pretty close. I mean, if they had to bring the 18 in for Kansas City, obviously they would win. But for tonight, there's a pretty cute one there. But random Tuesday night probably wasn't their best work.
B team, C team.
Yeah, maybe B team. There's a couple cute ones.
Hey, I've never seen it too bad over there. I guess a couple questions I want to pose to both of you. I'll start off with Zach and then pose it to Jamie. Obviously spending so much time in the house, they can't film everything. You got to cut stuff out. You got to cut, a lot of time into just an hour, and with ads, that's like 40 minutes. What sort of differences have you picked out from the show and what it actually was like living in the house?
Oh, I mean, there's a big difference. I mean, I felt like our cast we meshed very, very well together. I mean, obviously, you have that many guys living in a house for that long. Issues come up, maybe little arguments pop up, but for the most part, it really wasn't difficult or bad at all. And, on the show, of course, they're going to show the few things that did happen, some of the stuff with Uriah, and some of that did pop up, but, I mean, it was very seldom, just a couple times, and just some small things, and, that's what they're kind of hitting on a lot, and it really wasn't that bad. There wasn't that many arguments going on. We, for the most part, we meshed really well. And the funniest thing is Bubba kind of cracks me up because he's on this so much, talking and doing all these interviews, and in all honesty, like in the house, he wasn't even around hardly at all. Bubba's a very big middleweight. He's tall, he's a big guy, and he was really struggling keeping his weight down for this tournament. He would get up, I mean, he stayed in bed and upstairs almost the whole time. He wasn't even around and hanging out with any of the guys that much because he was just kind of struggling. Mm-hmm. He would get down, weigh a little bit of food that he can eat, take it back to his room. He would eat. He'd go back to sleep before training. And, of course, we have our confessionals and our interviews time, and they just jump up like crazy, because I mean, he speaks his mind. He doesn't care. He's just, he's just true to himself. So it's kind of funny seeing how much attention he gets, knowing that. And I'm in the background cooking half the time, even though I was in the middle of all the junk and all the games and everything. And he gets a lot of TV time. But he speaks his mind, and not gonna hate him for that. I mean, I respect the man for speaking what he feels and lays it all out there. But it was just kind of funny knowing that he really was upstairs sleeping a lot, and it was really kind of taxing on his body and stuff, and he knew it, so he was trying to reserve himself as much as possible. And, they show him he was the main guy in the house doing all this stuff, always talking and being all, just starting all kinds of, drama and stuff, and even though it really was just kind of him talking to the camera, on his own time every once in a while.
That's pretty funny. Jamie, what differences stood out to you between the show and real life?
I kind of, they can't put everything in, so I kind of understand it. They really kind of condensed it into, really a 1 hour show. And, God, there's just so much, man. I mean, the 13 episodes, they could stretch this thing out for a year if they were to put everything in there. I mean, and they'd still have great content. So I kind of feel bad for who's ever has to edit this, because there's so much stuff that did happen that would never, unfortunately, be seen. But I agree with Zach in regards to really the team chemistry, man. It was such a great dynamic of the guys there. You know, you put 16 guys, two different teams in a house, and of course little things are going to happen. But I mean, if you compare this season to any other season, and 16 other episodes, there was never a group of professional guys. All of them. I mean, they all just were really about the sport, about the winning, about the team. You saw it, and I'm not pointing Colin out about the whole middle finger, because Colin really turned out to be just one of the nicest guys of all time. But when what happened with Kevin Casey, and Kevin just basically said, "Hey, man," he goes, I'm not mad at you about that, but you're gonna have to fight me, and that's really the way Kevin was collective and acted like a professional. What they didn't show is Colin came in, just like he apologized. He came back in our locker room later, and he says, "Look, man, I'm sorry, that was uncalled for. I shouldn't have did that, and I want to apologize to you." And that was like coming from Colin. You could tell it was really genuine. So a lot of little things like that didn't make it into the show. But I was, for the most part, impressed with the way that everybody handled themselves, man. It was, there wasn't any, this was a professional season. I hope this is the way that the Ultimate Fighters go from here on out. There's a lot more of that, I guess, that they could be putting in the show. But again, they've only got an hour slot, and that poor guy on the editing chopping block he's got his work cut out for him, because there's really some good stuff.
Word.
Definitely. Yeah, I have one more question I feel like I kind of got to ask. It kind of goes to the point of the differences between the show and the real life, or between the show and real life. One of the things they kind of highlighted was Uriah Hall sort of separating himself and being on his own. Didn't really put it in a dark light, didn't show anyone saying anything bad about him, but just kind of showed him off doing his own thing. I know you all have spoken to the synergy and the teamwork, and I'm not trying to downplay that, but was Uriah Hall just one of the guys, or did he sort of try to separate himself and sort of do his own thing most of the time? Zach?
Well, yes and no. So Uriah was very, very team-oriented. The thing is, he started off, he's a very big John Jones fan, and he wanted to be picked by John from the beginning. And, Shell picked him up and everything. And the funny thing, we were actually at one of the photo shoots, and John actually walked past him, and told him how impressed he was with the fight to get in the house, and that he would love to train with him, like, once we got out of here and everything. And Uriah, he was out of the world. He felt great about that, which, any of us would have. So throughout the season, even though basically anything that was ever said about John, like, he would be like, "Oh, I'm not a part of this. I'm staying out of it." So he was very conscious to not upset and be able to be seen on film upsetting John Jones and making fun of John Jones. And then I don't know if it just happened that throughout the thing, you saw a lot of the team, his own teammates winning, and maybe he just felt like he might have to fight one of his teammates, so he's kind of just setting himself apart a little bit. But I got along with Uriah probably one of the best out of everybody, and I'm just one of those types where I just kind of accept you, and I accepted what he did, accepted just his personality. He just has a different personality, and some people, just kind of blew him off, whatever. I mean, I accepted him. He's a really good guy, and I mean, he was there to win it, and that's just kind of how it was. I mean, he was trying when he kind of had some of our guys, get upset with him, like when he called out Luke and all that stuff. He went out and he kept trying to hang out with Team Zone guys a lot, and then, of course, it always came down to him and Josh and Adam always getting into it. So he kind of was burning bridges a little bit between both teams, but it wasn't bad on our. It's not like we were just like kicking him out of our team or away from the thing. It's just he was sometimes he was a little harder to spar with some of the guys didn't like going with him. Me and Kelvin and Kevin would go with him a lot. Some of the other guys just kind of had more trust in the other training partners. So, I mean, that's a huge thing is trusting your training partner. You don't want to get injured. Even though it's a competition that one person's going to win, you have to rely on your teammates to help get you there and be good training partners. Uriah is one of those guys here. He spars a little bit harder than most people, and I mean, I've got teammates like that, and I'm fine with that. I don't mind, getting punched in the face. I mean, so I just accepted him, and just kind of went with it. But he, he separated himself maybe a little bit, but it wasn't near as bad as they start showing. If that makes sense.
Definitely, no. And sort of the same thing to you, Jamie, and to kind of tack on to the end, Uriah just showed up recently, I think yesterday, to train with you guys up in the Great Northwest. How is training going with Uriah?
Oh, great, man. He's up here with us right now, and we're just happy to see him, man. It's catching up with an old friend. In relation to the like for tonight when he was at the Hooters and they were, I will, he wasn't feeling good. I clearly remember that day. He wasn't going to eat any of the food. I think he was kind of watching his weight at the time, and I think he wasn't feeling good. So I don't think that particular scene, was so much that I don't want to be a part of any of you guys or this, but there were some other things going on right then. As far as here's the thing. Uriah got a lot of praise. He became everybody's favorite really quick when he threw the kick and landed at Adam, and then he's very genuine the way he speaks. So he really got a lot of attention initially in the first episode, and everybody loved him. And then in the next couple episodes, obviously, him and Luke had a little thing, and he probably made some comments that I think he didn't mean the way that they came out. But instead of maybe saying, look, wait, hold up, that's not what I meant to say, I think he kind of defended his initial comment. So, obviously, then I'm watching his Twitter, and it was like the same people that loved him the first week hated him, the second week. So it's kind of I think a roller coaster of emotions with some of the people watching Uriah. But I will attest to this, that he was one of our team members, and I was standing right next to him when after he landed that kick on Adam's chin, and I watched I watched Uriah's eyes swell up. He was generally concerned for Adam's safety. So I just kind of wanted to make it the point to say that Uriah has a big heart, and he's a genuine heart, and I mean it attests for the fact that he really is he's a solid guy. But again, going back to putting that many people in a house, and these guys don't have any outlets, no TV, nothing to read, there's going to be things that are said and done and misunderstandings, and people are going to rub the people the wrong way. Not everybody can, be exactly on the same page all the time. So, in Uriah's defense, I don't know, I just kind of felt like that's something that needed to be said.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
I agree 100% with that too.
Yeah, one more quick follow-up before I pass it on to Ramses. You know, you were mentioning the Twitter response, and I kind of noticed the same thing after the knockout. Everyone was, "Oh my God, I love Uriah Hall. He's the future. He's great. You know, he's got a great personality." And then the show kind of showed the incident with Luke, in the incident at the Hooters, and now people are kind of being a little bit more critical of him. Have you talked to him about that? How is he taking sort of going from somebody who wasn't in the national spotlight to stepping into the national spotlight and receiving some pretty heavy criticism?
You know, I mean, I think for any of these guys, you know, you just go from just being a normal guy that gets up in the morning, goes to work, and does your thing, to all of a sudden, and I would, you go to this place where all of a sudden everybody wants your picture and your autograph, and now, we talked to these guys about, all of them about this before we left the show, that look, man, the world's out to be different for you guys. The way people look at you is going to be different. You're going to have all these managers, and you're going to have all these promoters, but you're going to have all these guys that want you to sign and sponsor their product, and this is all the type of stuff that you're going to have to deal with. They're going to love you today, hate you tomorrow. And in fact, I went out to lunch with me, Clayton, and Uriah today, and we did talk about this, and we talked about that exact subject, and I said, you knew that this is kind of what we signed up for, man. This is something you're going to have to deal with. But everybody wants something from you. You're not just a normal guy walking down the street when people see you. So it's a lot to deal with for these guys, man. I mean, I'm a coach on the show, but I'm not anywhere near the amount of exposure or the future of what these guys are dealing with, and they're what they're going to be dealing with. And for Uriah, he's kind of a guy that, he sticks to himself. He does these things. He's really not in it for the wrong reason. This guy is not trying to be the local celebrity at the strip club. This guy is a martial artist, and he's about his craft. And I think all these guys are. So it's a lot, man. I mean, it's any of this. Look at Chael. He's the bad guy that everybody loves. Now everybody, you hate him or you love him. And everybody hated him, and then some people love him. Now they watch the show, and they love him. And next week when he starts, saying something about somebody else, people are going to start hating him again. So it's definitely a lot of work for these guys, I think.
Yep. And when Chael wins the championship from Johnny Bones Jones, people will bow down to him. Now, I just want to say this about Uriah Hall here. I just got to keep it real here for the fans here, the Team Sonnen fans out there watching week to week as a viewer. I just have to say this, Uriah Hall, you'd better either commit to Team Sonnen pretty damn soon. I'm talking next Tuesday, or you'd better get out, son. All right, I understand he's trying to game it. He's trying. He doesn't know who he's gonna fight in the end. But just art of war, son. If you pick a team, at least get on a team. That way, you don't have everybody hating you. That's the worst case scenario, son. Anyway, moving on here. Zak Cummings, the Team Sonnen fighter. You mentioned, you touched on this earlier. So far, you're probably the fighter that we've seen in the background. We've seen you the least on the show, and that's mostly due to the fact that the only time we've seen you fight was on the premiere episode, and that fight lasted 7 seconds. Now, that's probably why we've seen you the least, because your fight was 7 seconds, dude. It was ridiculous. You knocked that dude out cold. Do you know for a fact if that was a tough record for the fastest knockout? And I've got to know, did you throw that punch looking for a knockout, or were you just surprised by that dude having some kind of glass jaw? What's the deal, man?
First off, I don't know if it was a record or not. I've been told that they thought it was. Not really sure. If I probably would have jumped on him and just left him at the 4 or 5 second mark, whatever it was, when I dropped him, then it probably would have been. But I don't know. I didn't really pay attention. Didn't really care if it was a record or not. I was just happy that I got in, got out, and was basically not beat up or just didn't take any damage during the fight. Yeah. And as for the punch itself, I mean, basically, we went into this thing not knowing anything about anybody. I mean, I knew a couple guys, you know, at the tryouts, and knew a few of the guys that were there. But for the most part, I didn't know much. The funny thing about Nick Fichetti that I thought is, so when we first walk into the training center, and that's whenever we met Dana White, you know, Chael and John for the first time. You know, we're trying to, all the fighters got lined up, walking through the line, you know, like meeting everybody, you know, hi, nice to meet you, all this stuff. And Nick was a few guys ahead of me. And when he got to Chael, you know, Chael like shakes his hands like, hey, what's going on? Like walking, and Nick passes him, and I see Chael turn around and like talk to himself like, oh wow, what a stud. So doesn't say it about anybody else, but he says it about this guy. I don't know anything about him. And of course, Dana White makes the matchups. That's who I get matched up against. And I had no idea. So then I'm sitting here, and I talked to a few guys. They're like, oh, yeah, he was an Olympic alternate wrestler. Yeah. I'm like, well, that's great. You know, dude's a stud. And as soon as I walk into the day fight, I walk into the Team Sonnen locker room there to warm up. And, of course, I hear Vinny just yell, hey, who's fighting Nick Fichetti? And someone's like, oh, you know, Zak Cummings is. And I'm like, man, am I just like getting set up for failure here? Like, what's going on? You know, first, Chael's calling this guy a stud. I get matched up with him. I walk into my own locker room, and they're asking, you know, who's fighting this guy? And I guess it was Vinny's wrestling coach at Extreme Couture. So I'm going into this knowing I have, you know, a hell of a fight on my hands here, and this guy's a very good wrestler. I don't want him to touch me. And, you know, we went into the fight. He faked that kick, and I saw him go for that overhand right. And when he did, I just threw the lead hook, and really probably thinking that I was throwing the lead hook to come in with a straight left hand. But, you know, because if you see the film, I actually throw the left hand, and he's already fallen on the ground. Yeah. You know, I punched the air. So, no, I didn't think it was going to be a knockout punch. I basically saw him drop his hand, counter him with a lead hook, and to really fire in the left hand, but, you know, the lead hook put him down, and that's all it needed. Yep. So I was happy that's all it took, but I was prepared for the fight of my life, honestly.
Yeah, it reminded me of Ryan Jimmo's UFC debut, where he scored pretty much a 7-second knockdown against that dude who looked like Don Flamenco from Mike Tyson's Nintendo Punch-Out. Now, while I was researching and investigating every aspect of your life, Zak, I noticed on your fight record that you've fought Ryan Jimmo before. Now, even though he's now up a weight class, would you be down for rematching him in the UFC? Because like the two of you went the distance, five full rounds to a decision. Now that you've had the experience and training that comes along with the Ultimate Fighter tournament, do you think you could destroy guys like him and Tim Kennedy now? I mean, like, what is the value of being on the Ultimate Fighter tournament? Do you think you've improved? Are you ready to take these guys on and just smash them? What's up?
I never really got those, you know, either one of those guys are really out of my league. Tenchi's a different story. I don't know. I thought I was unbeatable. I was on a float trip a week before that fight, you know, having some beers with my buddies and stuff, and then I got the phone call if I would take the fight all week notice against Tim Kennedy.
Whoops.
You know, I said, why not? Just do it. And, you know, I got humbled very quick. Similar I actually, the Jimmo, I had, you know, I started at 185. I was debating dropping down to 170, and I ended up getting mono and didn't train for like 4 or 5 weeks.
Damn.
I was down for the count, and I was sick, didn't do anything, and of course they called me like, hey, you know, you want to take, and I think it was like 7 or 8 day notice maybe, you know, you want to fight up in Canada at 205. And of course I'm thinking, you know, I kept up with MFC, and I was like, all right, they have 1 205-pound fight is a title fight. I'm like, wait, who's the opponent? You know, and they're like, Ryan Jimmo. So I dumb me. I'm like, well, let me go to the gym and see if I'm going to die, you know, in 1 round or not, since I haven't been to the gym in 5 weeks. And went and worked out. I was like, yeah, screw it, let's do it. You know, I'm just stubborn. You know, I don't care. I'll fight anybody. I'm not scared of anybody. I'm not going to run from anybody. And so I just did it. You know, went to 205, and that's all you can even say 2 days before weekends.
Mm-hmm.
And I went out there, and I mean, he's just big. He was huge when after weigh-ins. And I thought I could out wrestle him, maybe take him down and maybe submit him or control the top game. And I mean, I think his leg was like the size of me. So it was, it was a pain, but I thought even then I was a better fighter. You know, I think I was all around better fighter, and I still think I'm a better fighter. He just, is a very large and strong man, and, he's good himself. So.
Yeah, no kidding. He's like, he's fighting at 205 now. But yeah.
He's always been fighting 205. He's a big ass 205 pounder. But
yeah.
I was just fat and walked up. I was like, screw it, let's do it. And if the UFC wanted me to have a rematch with them, I'd do it. I mean, I'm more thinking of trying to stay at 85 and possibly go down to 170. But if they want it, I'm game. I'll jump in there. I don't really care. I'll fight anybody. So
that's what I've noticed about looking at your fight record, man. I noted that in the year 2008, you took 7 fights. I think. What the hell were you?
I had 8 exactly in 1 year.
What were you thinking? What was just that like just the best year of your life? Would you ever do it again? Why did you take 8 fights in a year, man? What?
Oh, I loved it. I had so much fun.
And you won them all.
Yeah, and I won them all. I don't know, I was just having fun with it, just traveling and fighting. And Michael Johnson, who's in the UFC right now, me and him fight all the time. Like we kind of started together, and we're just traveling around in all these different states and cities, and just thrashing, just running through their main guys, and we're just loving it. I mean, I think I fought 3 times in 4 weeks once, and my 3rd, 4th, and 5th pro fight. I fought an All-American wrestler one week, and then next weekend I went and fought an IFL vet that was 29-9 when I'm 3-0. And then I take a week off, and then I have another state champion wrestler. So I go wrestler, striker, wrestler, and I was just loving staying busy and in the gym training all the time. And I was having a blast with it. I absolutely loved it. I'd do it again in a heartbeat.
Yeah,
I hate the waiting and seeing if a fight's gonna fall through or wait 4 or 5 months between fights. It just kind of I get lazy between hand and it bugs me.
Yeah, just to leap in 1 second, I just looked it up. The previous record for the Ultimate Fighter fastest knockout was 13 seconds by Mark Stevens at Tough 12. So we are talking to the holder of the record. We are talking to the holder of the record of the fastest KO in Ultimate Fighter history.
That's the word on the street.
That's cool to hear.
Nice.
Yep. Once it's on the word on the street, it's a historical fact, people. Definitely.
Yeah, they might not put me on camera much, but I got my record sticking there.
Well, you'll definitely be on next week, man. And I can't help but wonder if Coach Huey somehow crafted your appearance knowing that. I don't know. Who knows? But I'll just a little side program note here. We were scheduled to have an appearance by Vinny Magalhaes. But it looks like he won't be appearing this time. But I got to say it's a damn shame for him because he's not going to be able to defend himself. Because I do have questions and comment. Well, actually, they're all comments from a Renato Laranja who emailed me personally with some comments for Vinny himself. But since he's not here, we're just gonna have to roast him real quick at the end of this interview, which we are creeping up on. I just have a few quick questions for both of you guys. Coach Huey, earlier today, Jimmy Quinlan, a fellow Team Sonnen fighter, he tweeted something about and I thought I knew the origin of the name Team Darkside. I thought I knew where that name came from, but he mentioned it had something. He tweeted something about it having to do with an autograph or something. I figured I'd ask the source, the living legend, the Team Darkside name. Where did that come from? What is that all about? What is the word on the street?
The original Team Darkside came from when Chael fought Brian Stann.
Clayton had a boss that he was getting some time off from at work, and I said, look, what you got to do with these people at work, I go, you got to take care of them. I go, bring them something back. And he goes, yeah, it's a great idea. So at the UFC, what I would do is I'd get like one of the towels out of the locker room. I'd have, if I was cornering somebody to sign it, or some, Randy Couture or whoever was there sign it, I'd bring the towel back and I'd give it to one of my bosses or somebody that kind of took care of me. I owed a favor to, and that was always kind of something that they always appreciated. So I told Clayton the same thing. I said, man, he goes, well, what do I give him? I said, grab a towel, have Chael sign the towel, bring it back to your boss and say, this is the towel that you guys used in the corner during the fight. And Clayton goes, man, that's a great idea. So we fight Brian Stan, who's a friend of ours. Now he's been up here and trained, but at the time he obviously was an opponent. So he goes in there and gets the triangle. And Clayton's boss just happened to be Brian. His name was Brian also. Clayton brings the towel over to Chael and says, hey, can you sign this? And Chael goes, yeah. And he goes, who do I make it out to? And he goes, Brian. Well, now, Chael's thinking he's talking about Brian Stan, but Chael's talking about Brian's boss. So Chael goes to sign the towel, and he looks up at Clayton and he says, welcome to the Darkside, coach. So that's actually where Team Darkside came from. And then it kind of, once we were over there, one of the coaches on the other team, John Wood, he's a big Star Wars nerd, and I'm a Star Wars nerd myself. So the whole time we were over there, me and John were, shout out to John Wood at Syndicate in Las Vegas. There you go, John. I just gave you a shout out. You owe me $10 for that. And John's a big Star Wars nerd, so we were trying to Star Wars nerd each other pretty much the most of the time we were over there. He actually trains Amanda Lucas, who's George Lucas's daughter, and I think his whole leg is like tattooed in Star Wars stuff. So, I think John probably a little bit more Star Wars nerdish than me. I'm gonna have to submit to that. But I was holding my own with the whole Team Darkside brand and the black rubber bouncy ball that I called the Death Star, and so that's kind of where the team. And then obviously, every time we were done with a practice or a fight, we all put our hands in there, 1, 2, 3, Darkside, and Chael would do the hey, it's one more for the bad guys. So that's kind of where that came from.
Hell yeah! I actually did not know that. I thought the Team Darkside name just came from the fact that the uniforms, the Team Sonnen jerseys and all that ended up being black.
That kind of worked out. Yeah, that kind of worked out. That wasn't part of the plan, but the gray and black, it was almost like it was meant to be.
Yeah, I honestly thought I didn't even question it. I just thought, oh, yeah, they were the black team, so Team Darkside. That's crazy. Now, before we wrap this up real quick, I did just, fair enough here. We are, a fair and balanced podcast here, just like Fox News, the word on the street. Now, Vinny isn't here to defend himself, but I mean, I got these comments that came in, so I'll just read them real quick. And before we just ask our final questions for Zach and the coach Jamie, the living legend Huey, and sign off here. Really, Vinny, you should have come on. Eddie Bravo himself, I asked him if he had a question for you, but he said, he actually just wanted to tell you something that Renato Laranja said. So the quote from Eddie Bravo was, just tell Vinny that Renato said, Vinny, you gonna get cut for the UFC and sent back to Husha so fast, those stupid white people gonna think you a Puerto Rican meteor. That was from Eddie Bravo. Now, Renato Laranja himself emailed me personally. Now, he doesn't usually do this. But I asked him to come on the show and, confront, Vinny in not in person, but on the conference call. But he said the idea of being on the conference call made him sick. But, he did provide a quote for me to just tell, Vinny. So, Vinny, if you're out there listening, Renato says, quote, I usually don't gonna root for you, Vinny Magalhaes, but I pray you get by Gregory Hines on April 27th so I can finally get a chance to shut you fat ass up. I'm not gonna hold my breaths, though. He probably gonna beat you ass anyway. Say hi to you mama for me, Renato Laranja. Now, Coach Huey, are you familiar with Renato Laranja? Just curious, are you a fan? What's the deal?
Yeah, I see him on Twitter, but I don't. Yeah, I don't know, man. I don't. I never asked Vinny about that whole thing. I should have. Yeah, I don't know what their whole beef is. I don't know. I mean, there's definitely some animosity.
Yeah, Vinny better watch his back, dude. This shit is apparently serious. Now, Mr. Zak Cummings, I did reach out to one of my trusted tough sources, the cameraman that goes by the name Nick the Terrible. I tried my best.
Oh, yeah.
I tried my best to get him to like scrape some dirt on you, but honestly, he had nothing, Zak. He said this. He said, Zak is a good dude and didn't do anything shameful or wear dumbass pants like Luke, sadly. Sadly, that's what it said. So yeah, is it just because maybe you were careful around the cameraman there, Zak, or is this Nick guy a cool guy? What's the deal here? How come he's got nothing bad to say about you? What's up here?
I'm just a real dude, man. I don't know. I was just myself the whole time. I mean, it's just me. So I guess if I didn't do anything shameful, then I must be a pretty decent person. I'm pretty happy about that.
Yeah, you must be, because this Nick guy, he was going off on Vinny, and I wish Vinny again was here, because his question was he was just like, yo man, ask Vinny how horrible his gas is. He would save them for the van in Vegas and sit in the back and smile and surprise everybody. He went on and on about this. And I was going to confront Vinny, but I guess it's not fair to do so. But, I've already embarrassed the guy enough. But Vinny, we'll try to get you on next week to defend yourself. Hopefully, this is what happens when you don't appear on the Word on the Street podcast. Now, I just have one last question for Zak before I pass it off to Jake for any last questions he might have for you guys. Zak Cummings, thank you again for being on the Word on the Street podcast. But I ask every single guest that comes on this question, all right? And it's very important that you answer it. Just no bullshit at all. Just the truth, how you feel. How you feel about it. Just deep down, what are your thoughts? What's your best prediction? In 52 days, we're going to see Sonnen versus Jones, UFC 159. Your coach, Chael Sonnen versus Johnny Bones Jones. The question is, how do you see the fight get going? Who do you got? If you could break it down right now with a prediction, please do so. So far, nobody on the podcast has been willing to take Jones on this, just to let you know. Nobody. Even Gilbert Smith waffled on this question. So I'll just ask you, Zak, UFC 159, Sonnen versus Jones, how do you think it's going to go down?
Well, obviously, I'm not going against my man, Chael. And that's not just because he was my coach. After training with that man and feeling the pressure that he can put on somebody and his conditioning and everything, it was humbling and impressive and inspiring so much. I think he's tough enough and he's good enough of a wrestler to actually be maybe one of the first guys to take Jones down and control him. I'll also be one of the first one to admit that now Jones is very, very dangerous, and I think has more dangerous tools of a finishing factor than Chael. So I mean, he can if Jones beats Chael, he's going to catch him with something. He is very dangerous. He has a lot of tools. He's very powerful. But I mean, I see Chael grinding out. I really do. I don't know if he's going to control all 5 rounds. But I think for the most part of the fight, I think he'll control and just do what he's best at, and he is amazing at it. After killing it, it's pretty ridiculous.
I believe it, man. I believe in Chael Sonnen, man. And I'll just turn it over to Jake from the MMA podcast, see if he has any wrap-up questions before we just put a ribbon on stamp on this thing and sign off. Jake, what's up?
No, I asked everything I really could look up earlier. Definitely follow
Excellent.
These guys on Twitter, Coach Jamie Huey and Zak Cummings. They're both pretty fun guys to follow, and definitely always good to support Team Darkside.
Yep, definitely. And again, Coach Jamie, the living legend, Huey, and Zak Cummings, I can't thank you enough for being on the Word on the Street podcast. It was great. Hopefully we'll have you back, Zak, after you whoop some ass next week. I know you can't really reveal anything or give anything away, but I've definitely I'm playing the tough fantasy, the online fantasy game or whatever. I've got you, and so far I am I think I've only missed one, and that was because I forgot to vote that week. But Zak, I believe in you. I believe in Chael Sonnen. I believe in Team Darkside, and I thank you guys both.
It.
Yeah, thank you, man. And again, follow Zak Cummings on Twitter, ZakCummings, and of course, Coach Jamie Huey on Twitter, and also the one-MMA.com. Go to that website, check out the new gym, sign up right now. If you're tired of getting beat up by your coworkers, you go to a club, you ask a lady to dance, all of a sudden you're getting choked out by her boyfriend. If you want that shit to stop, you go train your ass at the One MMA gym. All right, you get your ass out there. Thanks again, Coach Jamie Huey and Zak Cummings and Jake from the MMA podcast. And unless there's anything else you guys want to just plug last minute, anything you got going on, I think that will be a wrap. What's up, guys? Anybody got anything? Speak now or forever hold your peace.
I'd just like to say, thanks for having me on, and actually I'm getting ready to head out to One MMA to train with all my Darkside boys. Coach Jamie to fine-tune some of my tools, and just hopefully everybody gets to catch the fight this next week, and watch me go to work. See if hopefully I don't lose anything, and hopefully I can gain anything. So, haters don't take them, but I just love the exposure and love fighting for people.
Hell yeah, Zak. Good luck at the One MMA gym. Eventually you will get in that first street fight. And if you've done your homework at the One MMA gym, you'll whoop that ass, dude. I guarantee you that. Coach Jamie Huey, thank you again. I can't thank you enough, man. And we will see.
Oh, man, it's all good.
Yeah, and we'll see you
absolutely.
next week, definitely. So, that's a wrap for the Word on the Street podcast. Tuesday After Tough recap of episode 7. Thanks to my guests. We'll see you on. That is it. We are out of here. Good night, gentlemen. This concludes our call. I'll see you. Goodbye.